Well, a mum from Redruth is suing Flambard's theme park in the first case of its kind for failing to provide adequate toilet facilities for her severely disabled son. 11-year-old Adam George requires a changing places toilet, which has extra equipment and space. Minesh Patel is Policy and Campaigns Manager at disability charity Scope. Justin Lee asked him what a business like Flambard's is reasonably expected to provide.
Well, at Scope, we know that access to changing places toilets are really important to many disabled people and their families to be able to access entertainment facilities, restaurants, bars, wherever they may be. So it's really important that Flambard's is looking at this issue. In terms of what's reasonable, the Equality Act, which determines what's reasonable, says that companies have to make reasonable adjustments to ensure all people can access their services in the same way. Now it's up to the courts to decide that, but there are a number of factors such as size and turnover, and in this case we know that there are many people who would benefit from this service, and that big companies like Flambard's should be doing everything they can to ensure that they're accessible to disabled people and their families.
We've had emails today from people supporting both sides in this argument, and if we look at it from the other side, what should a family like Adam's reasonably expect when they go for a day out?
It's really important that families like Adam and many other disabled children and their families can access services in the same way and aren't left out. We know that many are simply shut out from going to theme parks, going to restaurants, simply because facilities aren't accessible or toilet facilities aren't there. So it's reasonable to expect that with big organisations or big entertainment facilities, that disabled people and their families and disabled children should be able to use these facilities and the services in the same way as other children and everybody else.
And what advice and help is there available for organisations? Because Flambard's, for instance, say they have now tried to adapt and adjust some of their toilet facilities to accommodate some of Adam's needs. But is there more help and advice available to support organisations like this so that they do make the right decisions?
It's good to see that Flambard's have been starting to make some adjustments. We know that companies often want to learn more about what they can be doing to make themselves more accessible. There is advice out there from local organisations. There's a Changing Places website to really help businesses on this journey. And this is really important when you think about the fact that disabled people and their families spend a combined $250 billion a year. So there's a real business opportunity for companies like Flambard's to really capitalise on here.
If we come back to this point of what is reasonable, I mean, Flambard's argue that spending £40,000 on improved facilities for them as an organisation isn't reasonable. Is there any financial help for organisations like this so that they can provide these things without having to potentially make job losses?
We know that this can be costly. I think that the 40,000 figure is quite high. We know that there have been Changing Places toilets which have been set up for a much cheaper cost. At Scope, we have one which was set up for about £12,000. So I think there is an investment up front, but actually there's a significant gain for businesses in terms of attracting more families with disabled children to use their facilities. So in the long term, this is about creating a service that all families and all customers can enjoy.
How do you feel that the disability discrimination laws are working? If this area is so grey, it's down to interpretation from individuals on what is reasonable, it would suggest that perhaps there needs to be a bit more of a clearer definition with the laws. What do you think?
It's really important the law is working for disabled people. I think this case is a real landmark case and sends a really strong message to businesses about what they need to be doing to accommodate disabled people and their families. And we'll be watching closely to see what happens to ensure that all businesses are making themselves accessible to families like Adam and other disabled children.
That's Minesh Patel. He's Policy and Campaigns Manager at the disability charity Scope, speaking to Justin Lee. And, of course, there'll be more on this story tonight at 6:30 on BBC One in Spotlight. Well, Flambard's have given us a statement, and in part it reads, "We have installed a fully adjustable changing bed and a hoist in a dedicated room in addition to disabled facilities. We have over 4,000 disabled people and carers visit each and every year, and to date we've only had one complaint that we do not have a changing places toilet, and we have received much praise for the efforts that we're making to help improve the visit for our disabled guests and their families, and aim to make the park as fully inclusive as possible. As legal proceedings are underway, we are unable to comment further on the matter. That came from Flambard's.